Now, when a man's heart suddenly fails, he gets a pain, he's rushed to the hospital, the doctor tells him, you need to stop smoking. 99% of the time, the person will give it up. And why? Because only one doctor told him to. But if I ask you, how many of you are willing to give up this action for Allah? The figure suddenly drops. Wallahi, these days we are waiting for the day we get a heart attack before we make a change. Brothers and sisters, the question is, why should we wait for something bad to happen to us before we can raise our hands in dua? And often brothers will say, I'm young, I'm in good health, I'll stop when I'm older. Brothers, the way some of us are going, I would be surprised if you even hit an old age. First of all, we need to be clear about what the difference between makruh and haram even is. Makruh is an act which is disliked, however, it isn't subject to any form of punishment in this life or the next. Whereas the term haram is an act which is sinful and prohibited. Now, in terms of smoking, there was hadith which said that it is makruh to pray with bad breath, and it's referring to eating raw onion and garlic. And a lot of the scholars used to say the same thing about smoking 20 to 30 years ago, that if you smoked and you had bad breath, you cannot pray. However, now we know that science tells us that smoking gives a 23 times higher chance to get cancer. And in Surah Baqarah, chapter number 2, verse number 195, it says, do not make your own hands the cause of your own destruction. And you can clearly see from this ayah that smoking is not makruh and it is prohibited. And for the brothers who claim that smoking is makruh, wallahi, this is just a backward thinking and just an excuse to continue their bad habit. Brothers, nowadays it says on the outside of the packet that smoking kills. Just imagine, you went to buy the new iPhone, and before you entered the Apple store, you saw that every person you meet is telling you, do not buy the new iPhone. You would obviously realize that there's something wrong with the new iPhone and not buy it. Now imagine the actual person selling the product, actually the person who made the product, telling you that it isn't good. Wallahi, the level of foolishness to go forth and buy that thing that the seller is telling you not to says a lot about the brothers who smoke and spend their hard-earned money on smoking rather than in the way of Allah. Now, in terms of weed, a lot of the brothers say, oh, weed is only a short high, it doesn't affect my health, so it's not haram. The Prophet prohibits us from doing anything that is a khamr. So this makes anything that intoxicates the mind haram. Gambling intoxicates the mind the same way alcohol intoxicates the mind. Now, some of the brothers are taking laughing gas or nitrous oxide. Wallahi, even the small high that it gives you is an intoxication of the mind. Brothers and sisters, as an ummah, we need to stop making excuses for actions which are so obviously prohibited time and time again. And instead of trying to find loopholes in our religion, we should be able to accept our imperfections and try to improve them. Only then will we be able to have a stronger iman and trust in Allah. I hope that answers your question.